You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I Yield to Nolan, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 637. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
All hail the best in the world.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to Nolan.
Hi.
And he's the man who cares less about trophies. It's Matt. How you doing, sir?
I actually care more about trophies than the Borderlands movie.
Ooh, shots
Have you
fired.
seen it?
I just got done watching it.
Oh,
Wait,
that
did you pay to watch it, Matt?
I did not know.
Did someone pay to watch it?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Was that person V?
We were looking for something to watch late last night. And I was like, hey, Borderlands has come out like on demand, maybe it's some streaming service has it, and they're trying to get people to pay $20 for it, and I'm like, no, absolutely, I'm not paying a single cent to watch that movie.
We just had a watch party, and yeah.
Is it that bad?
Well, I'll tell you this. So you know my love of the Monster Hunter series, and you know my love of the Borderlands series. I think this was a better video game movie than the Monster Hunter movie. But it was still trash.
It was so good, you can already find it on Apple TV.
Oh, it's bad CGI, bad lines, bad storyline, confusing choices for actors, confusing choices for cast. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It had many nods to the game outside of like just blatantly showing you on screen. But it just missed everything that made the game the game. You know, you play Borderlands because you want to see billions of different guns and have crude sense of humor. The humor here wasn't even crude. It was just, it was too on the nose, and the guns barely even mattered. Like, there was no special guns. There was like one gun could just be a different gun using it. Oh God. Like you said, I'm glad I didn't actually pay anything for it.
All right, I need you guys to stall a little bit because the live stream is messing up a little bit, so I got to fix it. So, ask more questions about the Borderlands movie.
So, okay, so here's the issue I have. It gave you Lilith, Roland, who are two mainstays of the first game, Tannis, who's a mainstay of the series, Tiny Tina, who is best a side character.
Agreed.
And Krieg,
Who was a DLC character.
who is a DLC character. If you needed a muscle character,
Brick.
why did you not use Brick? Far more entertaining to carry a conversation. The fun part about Krieg was he was a melee character who said funny lines every now and then. And that's ultimately
his inner monologue.
Yeah, his inner monologue was like purposefully good. Like it was to show you that behind the mind of a psycho there could be something more. None of that appears in this movie. Brick would have been better as a muscle just because of what he does. And you want to talk about that each of the character have like their skills or superpowers? Roland is just a soldier in this movie. Like,
so no special turret with a shield that he can throw out. Nothing.
No.
Wow.
You know. Problem I had was the humor was too on the nose. The character choices were confusing. The plot line is the plot line. It's everybody's hunting for the vault. It puzzles me.
Do we at least stay on Pandora?
Yes.
Okay. So no planet hopping.
Yeah, and you know what? We get Marcus, so there's that.
And you get Moxie.
You get Moxie, yeah. Which, if you didn't know the game, this is just another character.
Really? They didn't bring any attention to Moxie?
She acted like a coordinator. Like there, all you know is her name's Mad Moxie. You don't know anything behind it. Like what? It disgusts me.
Wow. Did we get Scooter? Did we get Catch a Ride?
You got somebody to say Catch a Ride, but it was not Scooter.
Damn.
And even though it wasn't Scooter, there was his sister in the movie later. Literally, is just a Easter egg. Nothing.
Oh, so they don't even point out Ellie? I think that was her name.
Yeah, you're on it. Yeah, I couldn't even remember her name. On top of that, the CGI for the vehicles was so bad. It was.
So, I mean, we knew it was going to be bad, but it's so disappointing to hear it's like that bad. Is it Super Mario Brothers worse?
You mean the Bob Hoskins?
Yeah.
I will say better than that.
One step above it.
Barely, like a half shade above it. And it's mainly because it was actually like true to form, as opposed to the Super Mario Brothers, which were, Goombas didn't look like Goombas. Yoshi looked like a weird lizard instead of a dinosaur. Bob-ombs were instead like it. What I'm saying is, at least what was there was true to the visuals of the game. Like, I'll tell you, actually, Skags and Rax looked really good. But, it's just they're very little redeeming quality. Like, they took a storyline with two and mixed it up, and the big bad guy was useless. Like, it definitely nowhere near Handsome Jack level.
Well, but are we ever going to be able to get near Handsome Jack, though? I mean, that's like one of the best villains in video game history.
Really?
Yes. Really.
Yeah.
For an entertainment, you love to hate him and you wanted to root for him at the same time.
I don't know about all that.
Then you're on a little hill then.
Well, to be fair, I'm not a big Borderlands guy, so I think my only interaction with Handsome Jack was what Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh no, man, Borderlands 2.
What made Handsome Jack an awesome villain, because he came off as some sort of like corporate a-hole, and you started hating him just because of who he was and his cockiness and his bravado. But then as the game goes on, he does things that, you really start hating him for, and you realize what he's doing. So it was a progression of what you thought he was to what he actually was. The main villain in this could have been Joe McSchmo, and it would have it fell flat. Only marginally better than the Monster Hunter movie.
All right, catch up on the chat here. Now that I got the live stream fixed. Dex is here. He sent I don't know because it's not coming up. And then Joe says, Matt, Borderlands movie was ass. Handsome Jack is one of the most beloved villains. You know what? I'll go with it because, like I said, my interaction with Handsome Jack was basically Tales from the Borderlands, so I'll leave it at that. Other questions, gentlemen? Did you guys hear or see? It's not in the agenda, but the new updates coming to Rocket League. Ways they're changing the game.
No.
Alex, did you hear anything about it?
Because I haven't been I didn't buy the Rocket Pass this time. Looking forward to within the next week when they changed over. I haven't been paying too much Rocket League news.
I will look them up because I just my thing in front of me, which I don't want to say the name of, because it will go off. Just reminded me that there was changes. I'll look them up as we go, to see if we can have a conversation about it real quick. But while we're doing that, why don't we do our updated trophy counts? As I forgot to mute my phone. I am 957 total trophies of 33,679 with 975 platinums. Alex.
I am level 508, total trophy count of 10,035, and a platinum count of 176 and 175 games.
Yield.
515 is my level. With the trophy count of 10451. And 193 is the platinum count.
Matt.
No changes, still 220, 1311. But newest achievement today was potent alterations, temper a piece of armor, jewelry, and a weapon in Diablo 4.
And we must note something very momentous. Matt beat Dave the Diver. He did not tell us last week, but he beat Dave the Diver last week.
Oh, Alex, you're the reason my phone's going off. Sending me Instagram reels.
Oh, so well, it did. That was the last two, not the other ones.
My God. So glad that Alex is browsing Instagram as we're recording.
It's some good stuff, though.
Sid is level 105, total trophies of 268 with 4 platinums. All right, let's get into what we're playing. Alex, tell us about what you've been playing, sir.
So played a little bit more Helldivers, but I'm maxed out on War Bond medals again. So my search for the scientific samples has ended, and I will wait until they release a new War Bond so I can spend some of these things. Again, I will appeal to Arrowhead. Please raise the cap on the War Bond medals. It's ridiculous that you can, without much effort, just get to the cap and have nothing to spend the money on or the medals on, and thus don't want to play anymore. I've been spending a lot of time with, and I was a little bit, when I first started reading about this game, or looking into the game and the way I actually played, I was a little bit worried about the community management side of it. But Cult of the Lamb, I started out pretty slowly on it, and then as time has gone on, I've dumped hours and hours into it because I love it. So Cult of the Lamb is great. I'm really enjoying it. But so there's essentially two sides of the game. There's the community management aspect of it, because if you don't have a cult, the game is over. So if you lose all your cult members, it's game over. You have to manage their faith, make sure they're still believing, make sure you feed them, make sure that the area is clean so they're not getting sick. You have to build as the game goes on. You get to upgrade to newer structures, so you can basically build this community, and you got to manage it. And that's half the game. The other half is going on in the Crusades, where the combat is procedurally generated, so it's different every time. But there are 4 bishops to beat and a 5th final boss. But basically, you have to go into these areas, and you recruit new followers during the Crusades. You collect resources, fight enemies. You do all this kind of stuff. So there's 2 sides to it. There's the community management with your cult, as you are the leader, keeping them happy, and then the other side is the Crusades, where you fight people, fight the bosses. And I really liking it quite a bit. It's a lot of fun.
You forgot the other half of the game.
What, side quest or something? Trying to get all them fleeces?
No, making your followers eat poop.
Well, first of all, that'd be another third of the game, Matt, because that wouldn't be another half. You can't have 3 halves. But no, I'm not. So because I wanted to get to the 20. There's a trophy earned for having 20 followers, and that's basically what I've been sticking around is 20 followers in my camp. I'm not making anyone eat poop because they're going to get sick and die probably. I'm not messing with that, Matt. Although there are side at your camp, the community members will give you side quests like, hey, do this, like marry me, and you can't have multiple wives in this game or multiple husbands. Also, hey, I want to play a prank on this person in the camp, make them eat poop. So there are things like that in the game. But yeah, I'm trying not to get everybody sick because I want camp life to be as good as possible. And, I'm trying to earn those trophies, Matt. So enough people have eaten poop in my camp that I'm not really that worried about feeding anybody else it. One of the things about the game is your followers do grow old at a certain point. So at around like maybe upper 20s, maybe low 30s, well, I'll say like mid 20 days at the camp, they will grow old. And at a certain point, maybe within the next 5 days, they'll die. So you do have to kind of manage that. Like there are rituals you can do where you sacrifice people. And that can help your faith of your followers if you get them to believe there are doctrines in the game, and you get people to believe certain things like death is not the end, or different. You just gain different rituals where you can bring people back to life. You can hold funerals for people, and again, all tied to keeping the faith of your cult. But people do die, so you do have to deal with them. So you can build morgues and crypts and stuff like that, or you can sacrifice them and gain faith that way. So it's just like the community management aspect is more than just feeding people, more than just cleaning up poop. It's like managing the faith, and that's the big part is the faith. And I was really worried that part was going to be too much for me, kind of overkill, along with going out on the quest, the crusades to fight. But everything together, like I'm able to manage just fine. And I'm enjoying the game quite a lot. It's one of those games like Dave the Diver and Tales of Iron, one of those small indie games that I found through PlayStation Plus and was able to play for free through PlayStation Plus that I'm like, oh man, I love these games. And that's kind of just examples of, what the ways in which PlayStation Plus and these subscription services are good, because I would not have found out about these games otherwise. Here I am. I'm going to buy Tales of Iron 2 when it comes out. If there's ever a sequel to Dave the Diver, more DLC, I'll buy that. If there, is a Cult of the Lamb 2, I'll buy that. So, I mean, like this is building my relationship with these companies, with these smaller developers through these games. So I'm very happy we've got this game to play. And if you haven't tried it yet, Cult of the Lamb is a lot of fun. So I would definitely give it a try if I was anybody else. I'm assuming Matt, because Matt's feeding people poop that he's played it.
Well, Dex is in the chat says, I don't know, making followers eat poop sounds fun.
Dex, you can do it, but then you got to clean up the throw up afterwards.
Oh, you don't have to clean up the throw up. Make your followers clean it up.
Well, yes, I have many buildings around, many decorations and many buildings. So, I mean, yes, I have a janitor station where I could get them to clean it up, but I'm faster than Matt. They're too busy mining stone and lumber for me.
Yield, are you going to have your followers eat poop?
No.
Simple and to the point.
That's I'm not going to play this game. No.
I knew what it was, but it was just quick to the point. He was just like, no.
Tricky, have you tried it? I swear on the people who have played the game, your name has popped up there, or at least your icon.
Dave the Diver, I did start it.
No. Call of the Lamb.
Oh, Call of the Lamb. Sorry. I'm checking out. No. I don't think I've played it.
It may just been that because you've added it or downloaded it or something, because I'm sure you've added it to your catalog.
Was it a PlayStation Stars start this game for a trophy or a thing?
I don't think so.
By the way, I'm going to go on a rant to PlayStation Stars.
It's just on PlayStation Plus Extra. That's all.
I want to go on a rant on PlayStation Stars for a second. Because every month I get screwed on PlayStation Stars.
Well, wait until they do the terms of service next month. Or this month.
Well, that's fine with me because I spend enough money where my points are never going to expire. My gripe is the fact that this month, September monthly picks for 50 points is you have to purchase one of the following games. And one of the games listed is Star Wars Outlaws, which I purchased.
But it probably didn't start until after the release date.
Right, which is pissing me off.
You don't get
paid. Yeah, but now you get to play Star Wars Outlaws. Aren't you still happy?
Yes, but the point is this happens month after month after month ago. Hey, buy this game. And I'm like, I already bought it. But this one in particular pisses me off because the game just released, which basically means you did this knowing everybody pre-ordered the game or was already going to have it, and people have bought it on day one as it came out. You released this the next day. So everybody that made their purchase on a day one purchases, you just screwed over all your earlier adopters?
Well, yeah, it's a free service, so yeah.
I don't know, Tricky. I feel like that happens to enough people where it's not even worth complaining about at this point. How many people have bought games that later came to PlayStation Plus? Like, I get what you're saying. Like, retroactively, you would like to get the points, but there's things that come up on PlayStation Stars games that I, purchased recently that I don't get credit for because I already bought them.
Right.
I bought them in the previous month. So, I mean, it just happens.
PlayStation Plus normally comes out months after you made the purchase. This is the day after the release of the game. I mean, there's other games on here. There's Thank Goodness You're Here, Black Myth Wukong, The Time I Got Reincarnated, and Slime, Pepper Grinder, and Visions of Mana. There's other games on the list, but you put a game on there that literally came out the release the day before, and everybody that bought it day one just got screwed. That just irks me. It irks me.
I understand it, but again, man, this has happened. Like, whether you bought it a month before or a day before, does it really matter? Because you still bought the game and you don't get the credit for it on PlayStation Stars.
Yes.
And I guarantee that's happened to all of us at some point. Well, I'm sure Matt doesn't use PlayStation Stars, but it would have happened to him by this point if he did. But it's just the way it goes. I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think that it's something that you just kind of got to get over.
All right. Yield, what have you been playing, sir?
Well, let me go back to it. So, played a little Rocket League. Actually, legitimately got my buzzer beater trophy. So now I'm just down to one trophy. Played some Everybody's Golf. Played some Helldivers 2 for a little bit. I've been playing some Police Simulator Patrol Officer. Been playing some Lawnmower Simulator. Got back into Bombfest. Got the grindy part out. Now I just have to decide, am I just going to look up the guide and set up the games so I can get the rest of my trophies, or am I just going to kind of keep messing around with the game and see if I can get them naturally? And then I jumped back into some Flat Out 4 Total Insanity, working my way through Flat Out mode, and I am just past halfway.
You played Power Wash Simulator, right? Did you get the platinum?
I did. I have.
All right, because it's funny because I was watching a video the other day. Or actually, not even the other day. I was watching it today, from PlayStation Access, I think it is. And they said the 7 hardest trophies in the easiest games, and all 3 of us qualify for getting one of the trophies in one of the games. Yours was completing all the challenges in Power Wash Simulator.
Yes, some of those challenges are hard.
Alex, yours was beating the highest scores on all the racetracks.
Wait,
what game?
What is this?
The hardest trophy in an easy game. Yours was beating all the best times in Crash Bandicoot Racing.
Crash Team Racing?
Yeah. Oh, was Crash Team Racing?
Crash Team Racing Nitro Field? Wait a minute, that was an easy game. Crash Team Racing's not an easy game. That's a difficult platinum.
Well, it says it was only difficult because of this one trophy.
All right, well.
I'll link the video. You can watch it. And mine was getting the Flappy Goat trophy in Goat Simulator. And I'd bring up yours, Matt, but you don't get the trophy, so.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Anyway, Matt, what have you been playing?
Get my ass handed to me by a boss in Black Myth Wukong. It's, I can get through the first phase without getting damaged, and the second phase just wrecks me. So that's a lot of fun. Some more Monster Hunter World, some Monster Hunter Rise, just getting back into the swing of things. All the Monster Hunter Wilds hype has me hyped for playing. Some more Aragami 2, did a Hades 2 run here and there, some more Ultimate Chicken Horse, and then I did Diablo 4. It was on sale this week for $30, and some of my friends got in on it, so I decided, hey, why not? And I've already dumped like 16 hours into it because it's a lot of fun. As you can imagine, I'm playing a sorcerer, solely fire-based, and it is crazy. I got like a 50-foot flamethrower spread in 3 different directions. My character literally just sits in the screen, and I spin, and everything dies around me. So that's a lot of fun. And then I did as Alex mentioned earlier, I did end up beating Dave the Diver, even though that was last week. But, it was such a great game. It just, the middle section there is very rough. It's kind of a slog. But getting to the end, that final chapter, was actually a lot of fun. So I'm glad I pushed through. And finally, I just did a quick month of Ubisoft Plus because I wanted to try to get in on the Star Wars Outlaws craze. And Tricky, I know you've been playing a little bit of that yourself. I think it's a decent game for what I've gotten into it. I'm only about 2 hours, 3 hours in. I'm on the first planet you get to after you leave the starting planet, I should say.
There is only one planet.
What?
There is only one planet.
At
least that I've seen so far.
No. You definitely have the ability to go to multiple planets.
Yeah. I ain't played the game, and I know you can leave your planet you're on and go to multiple planets.
Yeah, I don't know how many there are, but definitely there's more than just the first planet you get to.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I now have the ability to leave the planet, and the only thing I've been able to go to is like space stations.
Yeah, there's going to be more.
Okay, so.
I'm split on the game because from an open world environment aspect, it's very beautiful. The character models, not the greatest. I should say the human character models. All the alternate race models look great. They look like they're from Star Wars, and they're what you expect. I said this to my friends where the human faces look like the designers made, I don't know, like 20 facial features, and then it's just pure speculation. It's like they gave it to AI and said, hey, go make human faces.
Make the rest of them.
It was, yeah.
The one thing I heard was because a lot of people complaining because apparently the actress that's behind Kay, she's really pretty, and it's like they intentionally made her ugly in the game. So people are speculating that they did that on purpose just so they don't have to pay her likeness rights.
I enjoy a good conspiracy theory like everybody else. I'm going to say fuck off, because here's the thing. If you have a super beautiful character going around as an outlaw, as a stealth character, that A, doesn't make sense story-wise. Thematically, it doesn't make sense. And B, her character model doesn't look bad. Like, everybody's so out there being like, oh, look how uggo they made her. No, it's fine. It fits the role that it needs. I'm more along the lines of all the background characters, and again, just the human characters, because all the alien characters look fine. It's so far, it's been generic, go do this, fetch quest. If I have a couple different complaints of the game, I'm playing it on PC, there's just some weird crashes that were happening, so I managed to get through those. The stealth sections, because you're playing an outlaw, therefore there's a lot of stealth built into it. It really gets to me that there isn't a better checkpoint system, because sometimes you get sent back 10 to 15 minutes in your mission because you got caught, which is just a lot of trial and error.
I got sent back an hour.
And that's rough. So
but mine wasn't. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. Mine was because the game didn't autosave after I completed a couple missions, and I turned off the game, came back, and because when you hit the button to save your game, it doesn't let you save while you're in combat. So on the bottom of the screen it says last save was 40 minutes ago, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to go save the game, and it says I can't save, and because I'm in combat, but I'm in a space station. Like there's no combat.
Yeah, and that's the issue that a lot of people have. It's the combat sections, or I should say the stealth sections, which you don't get combat. It creates this buffer of you can't save, therefore one mess up
And you're
means that you're going back. Now, there are abilities you can get. You know, there's this fast talker ability that allows you to kind of like talk your way out of a situation, but I haven't seen the extent of that being used. So and you're not meant to go guns blazing with a lot of missions. So a lot of things you're doing, it's a stealth focused game, which I kind of knew. So if I'm going to lead anybody with anything, it's just don't go into this game thinking that you're going to be able to blast your way out of every situation. Yeah, it helps some. Sometimes somebody's sneaking on you and you smash them in the face, but it's Judgment's still fully out. Right now, it's sitting at that 6.57 out of 10 range for me.
Sorry, I was replying to somebody on Facebook. I sent the picture for context for you guys in the Facebook group, so you guys can see the difference between the character model and. And is that all you're playing, Matt?
Yep.
And I finished up the Astros Playroom trophies, which Alex also did. Top game.
Yeah, those sucked. Let's be real.
What do you mean they sucked?
They were annoying to get, like especially that last one where you have to mimic the certain movements of a character, and you basically just have to memorize it because it doesn't give you enough time to react, or you fail.
Oh, I had no problem seeing what he was doing and reacting to it.
All right, well, whatever. But yeah, I thought that all those trophies I thought were a little esoteric, and it was, I don't know. I don't mind them adding trophies in the game, but like those trophies weren't fun to earn. They were kind of annoying to me.
I just went after them because of the rarity, and I wanted the 100%.
Well, they're not probably that rare anymore, so.
Well,
Yes, I wanted the 100% too. That's exactly why I went after it.
The 100% one is still 8.1% very rare.
On where?
On PSN profiles.
No, all right. I always get confused because I don't know if you're using PSN profiles or PlayStation Network.
The one we just got is 8.13. The worst one was the one for GPU Jungle, which is it's an uncommon, which is 23%, but the other ones are all either rare or very rare. No ultra rares anymore, because I had ultra rare when I got it, but as more people got them.
But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people waited for all the bots to come out, and then they were going to do it during one run.
Yeah. I do find it interesting, according to PSN profiles, there's only 517,000 people that played this game. Didn't we have like a report that there's like 40 million PS5s out in the wild?
Well, you also got to remember PSN profiles is people who have registered.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, it just seems like a really low number for. Anyway,
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It seems like a low number, but I guarantee most of the users on PlayStation, a lot of people don't beat games, so they're sure as heck not going to go register on PlayStation profiles to have their trophy counts on there.
True. Been playing a little bit more of the First Descendant. They just released their season 1. I was kind of hoping they added more trophies, but it doesn't look like they did. I've been playing Marvel's Avengers on the 4 and the 5, and I screwed myself over getting those platinums to test the theory from last week when I was saying that you could auto pop from the 4 to the 5 or the 5 to the 4. I did that to test the theory. It worked, but then all my work on the 5 version went away. So I lost all that progress. So now I'm having to do all that again, which really, really sucks.
Wait a minute, why didn't you just wait until you got all the trophies on the... Wait, hold on. You got the platinum on the 5, right?
No, I don't have the platinum on the 5.
Why just not wait until you got the platinum on the 5 before trying something like that?
Because I'm an idiot.
You heard it here first, folks.
Tricky, here's the thing. You know that we call that justice in the universe. You fucked around and you found out. You tried to get some easy trophies.
No. I was just testing the theory. I was testing the theory because it was only for one trophy, and I wound up screwing myself for the last couple on the 5 version.
So how many hours did you lose?
Oh, numerous.
Probably like 80.
Maybe more than that.
So because are you actually going to go and do all that work again?
Yeah, but I'm going to do it on the 4, and then auto pop them on the 5. Because there's only 2 more trophies I need on the 5, so. And there's 3 I need on the 4. But the one on the 4 that I need to get is going to take me a while because it's all RNG. Popped in, played a little Rogue Company, which apparently Dex is going to play with me because I have to get a trophy for playing in a group, and I know none of you guys are going to want to play Rogue Company with me, so Dex volunteered to do that. More Division and Star Wars Outlaws, which I shared my opinion with Matt, and kind of feel like Matt kind of ridiculed me a little bit when I gave him my opinion. Because to me, and I know this, what was that look for, Matt?
I'm trying to figure out where you think I ridiculed you.
Well, would you like me to read what you typed back to me after I said what I said?
Please feel free.
Hold on. Did you send it to me on Messenger? Hold on. Yes. So I said it feels like a generic open world game that just happens to be in a Star Wars universe, because I wasn't getting much Star Wars feel from it. It felt like it was just, I'm in an open world and there's Star Wars things around. It didn't feel like a Star Wars game. Matt responded, well, the settings, characters, the hacking, all that screams Star Wars. But yeah, the missions are going to be generic stealth missions. So he's like, it kind of felt like he was saying, yeah, all the Star Wars things are there, but you just don't feel like it's Star Wars. Kind of, but to be fair, when you said that, I was ringing in my head of like, you're thinking I'm trying to say this isn't a Star Wars game the same way I say Breath of the Wild is not a Zelda game.
No. I didn't take it that way at all.
But that's what I read in my head when I read.
I know. Well, maybe stop pressing the other subject so much, and you'll get better. No, not my intention to ridicule you. I was thinking kind of along the same lines, but it's there's a lot of generic Ubisoft open world stuff there. So we'll see. We got a lot more game to go through.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm enjoying Atlas. The controls are a little bit weird to me. And you can go in and change them. Like the melee button is square, but the interact button, you have to press the right the R3 button is. I don't know what it is on PC, but you also said you have a little bit problem with the controllers working with it. Maybe you want to dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, okay. So to what you're saying, Tricky, you could actually go into the settings and choose the alternate where your melee, instead of pressing your right stick in, which is R3, you change that to square or X on the Xbox controller. Right. So here's the issue I was having. On PC, Steam does very well mapping the buttons on a controller, whether it's the Xbox, the PlayStation, or the Switch. Steam and Ubisoft Connect, which is the storefront that Ubisoft uses, don't play nice together. So when I'm trying to use my controller, my Xbox controller in a Ubisoft game with Steam running, Ubisoft doesn't know what to do, and actually, like, the B button is supposed to be your back button, but for some reason it's mapping it to your confirm button. So if I get into a menu, I can't back out. If I use the right thumbstick, it's mirroring mouse control. So on my two screens, I'll be having Outlaws on my main screen, and then suddenly I'm seeing my mouse flutter on the left screen I have here. To stop that with an Xbox controller, you turn off Steam, which is a hassle every time I want to start Outlaws, turn off Steam. And there's other options you can choose, but it's still very frustrating. Like if I click in my left thumbstick, it brings up the Steam's on-screen keyboard. Why it would do that in a Ubisoft Connect game, I don't know. None of this happens when playing on Steam. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's Ubisoft's fault. It's whatever the two programs talking to each other have an issue with. I then take my PS5 DualSense controller and I plug that in via USB. No issues. It all works perfectly fine. And even so, in Outlaws, they enabled the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers in the game. So I'm getting some of those features as well. So it was some headaches. There was some other gameplay visual options I had to choose to start getting steady frame rates above 60 frames a second. So the first day was really just me toying around with it, trying to make it work, because it's in the early access phase. There wasn't a lot of conversations or talk about how to overcome some of the issues. So those are just some of the frustrations I had playing with it.
All right. Before we move on to the actual show, this is a little bit of a spoiler for the game, but not really. There is a loyalty system within the game, within the different factions. I don't know how far you've gotten into the game, Matt, but is there any faction that you're favoring or any faction that you're pissing off? Because if you favor one, you're going to piss off the other one.
Yeah. So without spoiling it, not the first faction you come up against, the second one who asks you to give them information on something. And I've already ruined that relationship because I infiltrated their bases and got caught too many times.
All right. I'm really doing well with one faction. I guess. Can we say the factions, or would that be spoilers?
That could be spoilers.
I would get. So does the faction you're good with start with a P, an H, or a C?
C.
Okay.
I'm doing really good with them, and I'm pissing off the P's.
Makes sense. I think that's the route I'm trying to go to.
But there's trophies in the game where you have to get to the highest with all the factions, and you also have to get to the lowest of at least one faction. So at that point, I've already gotten to the highest with the one faction. I'm trying to piss off the other factions to the point where I get that trophy, and then I'll start balancing out. But yeah, it's according to the trophy guide, you can do this all in one playthrough, but I don't see how you can. But it is what it is. But I think there's a lot more story, because if you're telling me there's more planets, and I'm pretty well into it, and I haven't seen another planet yet. All I see is the one planet and space stations. But I know it says there are other planets because there is a trophy for Matt's telling me 5 planets. There is a trophy for doing something on each of the planets. So trying not to spoil anything here. All right, it is what it is. All right, let's get into our topics. As is customary, the first show of the new month, we tell you about the PlayStation Plus monthly games. This month seems pretty good, but I know there's going to be some people that don't like them. According to the PlayStation blog, which I know particularly Matt changed my link on that one, coming from Adam Michelle, on September 3rd, we're going to be getting these games. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions for the 4 and the 5, MLB the Show for the 4 and the 5, and Little Nightmares 2 for the 4 and the 5. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I'm kind of interested in this Quidditch Champions. How about you guys?
It's more of a sports game than actual. I mean, it's a Harry Potter game, but it's more of a sports game than, like, say, Hogwarts Legacy was. So there is an added element of that, of the competition.
I mean, I to be honest, I really, even watching all the movies, I still don't understand the rules of Quidditch. But I don't
Wizard basketball.
know. Yield, what are your thoughts on these games? I know you had a little back and forth with Mr. Priestley on the show.
No. It's not a good month, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe you would be interested in the Little Nightmares. I mean, I know Alex is the one that spoke about it, but I thought you were into those Little Nightmare games as well.
Nope, never played the first one.
Okay, so
I'd have to see the trailer for it. I know people are excited for Quidditch, but I'm not a Harry Potter person, and I didn't play the last MLB show that they gave us.
did they give us a show?
Yes, they have.
Dex says for him personally, the show is where he was going. All right, Alex, your thoughts on these games?
I mean, I think it's a good month overall. I mean, Little Nightmares was a good game. My only thing is I don't like the horror games where you don't get to defend yourself, and these are ones where, you are tiny person and you are running around much larger creatures, so you don't get to defend yourself. But I mean, the first one was still really good. MLB the Show, Harry Potter. I feel like those are games that, like, if you're not a baseball fan, you're not a baseball fan. But I feel like the show is a really good quality game, and for them to give it to us, even if they gave us one before, I feel like is a really good deal. Because as Joe mentioned, it seems like it's an easy trophy list, so there's at least that. And I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I did like MLB the Show and games like that. So, I mean, baseball games can still be fun because I like the batting aspect of it, trying to hit them home runs and whatnot. And Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, newer game from what I understand, maybe a new release game on PlayStation Plus. People love Harry Potter. Quidditch is, like Matt and made mention to, like a more sports-oriented game. So even if you don't like Harry Potter, the wizarding part, maybe this is the one aspect of the universe you can get into. So overall, I think it's a good month. And I think I want to point out a couple of things. When they did the tiered PlayStation Plus service, there were a few concerns. One, that the quality of the free games was going to be, go away. And I feel like they've kept a high quality of games to that. And also PS4 users were concerned that eventually they would start to phase out the PS4 aspect of PlayStation Plus in the monthly games. And all three of these are available on PS4. So yeah, you're still getting PS4 games years later. So it seems like everything's doing fine with PlayStation Plus and the monthly games.
All right, Matt.
I have Little Nightmares too, and it's a fun little game. The other ones I'm not gonna play, interested in at all. So, meh.
All right. I haven't played a show game in a long time. I might give that a shot. Little Nightmares 2. I don't know if I'm too interested in that. And like I said, I'm interested in the Harry Potter game, Quidditch. But that's mostly for Sweet Mama D, who's big into Harry Potter. But I don't know how much time I'm really gonna put into that. Moving on to our next topic, coming from GameSpot, written by Eddie Kush. Matt Kush?
Eddie Makich.
Is it Makich?
Well, there's definitely an M, and A. I don't even know how you try to say it at first, but you just completely eliminated some of the letters.
Makush. M-A is Ma. Makush. Anyway.
Makich, I don't know. Sorry, Eddie. We're not doing very well here.
PlayStation 5 Pro is coming later this year. Could be $600. PlayStation event in September is the report. According to Jeff Grubb from GameSpot sister site Giant Bomb, Sony is ready to announce the PlayStation 5 Pro and the state of play being scheduled for September. The Pro is a, quote, open secret, end quote, at the recently held Gamescom, as reported by Grubb. With the predicted system going on potential sales this October or November, people are speculating on the price, with Grubb saying it could be seen at $600 to $700. Yield, I kind of had like a mini conversation with you. We didn't go really into it. We were talking about this. Your thoughts on the PS5 Pro, other than I know it's not needed.
Other than it's not needed?
Yes.
It's not needed. I mean, you're paying $600 for it. If it's better than the 5, then why it seems crazy? Yeah, I think it seems just because it's 5 years later, it doesn't mean that it should cost the same as a 5.
All right. Alex.
So, I mean, the pro versions are always. I mean, do they launch at? Do they drop down the price of the original models and then release this at a higher price? But is the price usually at the level of what it was at the beginning, or do they typically raise the price for the mid-cycle refresh?
I think they normally just drop the price.
Okay. I mean, this thing may have functionality we don't know about that makes it, cost more. Personally, the price is, you're talking $600, $700. No thanks. I'm not, I never buy their mid-cycle refresh because my original PlayStation, the 4 and the 5 have worked well long into the life cycle. I still have my original PS4, so there's no need for me to get these. But, Yield says there's no need. I mean, I would argue that there is a need because people like Tricky will buy this. I mean, right, Tricky, you're going to buy this.
Absolutely.
He's going to buy it. So when there's a market there and people will buy it, and you have a chance, if you're releasing a better version of the console, to snag people who may have been previously Xbox users or something like that, or been curious about the PlayStation 5 but didn't want to jump in, and they're the techno people who like the high specs, you may grab them too. So I understand when Neil says it's not necessary because he doesn't want to buy it, but there's a market for this thing. There is always a market for the refresh, and it's a way to increase interest in your console sales. If your sales are dropping or waning, it's a way to get those numbers up again. So
also
from Sony's side, I think there is a need for it.
Aw, I saw V just give a kiss to Matt. Don't give me the finger. I was being nice.
You deserve it. You've earned it.
By saying "aw" because V decided to give Matt a kiss mid-show.
You're number one.
You didn't have to draw it to attention.
It was on screen. People could see.
But they need to hear?
Like Roman says, acknowledge me. And I was acknowledging Matt.
Matt has never asked you to acknowledge him in that way, nor V. So look, Tricky, I'm going to ask you.
Wow.
Why do you want to buy this thing? Now, because I think now people expect there to be a mid-cycle refresh for aside from the Switch kind of had one as well. So now people kind of seemingly expect these mid-cycle refreshes for all the consoles. So why are you buying this one?
Okay. Well, I have jokingly said that I was going to buy this one. I'm only going to buy the. I just got a wide-eyed look from Matt.
No, sorry, there was something else.
Okay. I thought you were surprised by me backing out and saying I might not buy this one.
He saw a spider here.
Listen, burn the house down at that point. I'm only going to buy the Pro if it comes with an optical output. I think that was a major fail on the 5. I don't know why it wasn't there in the first place. That was standard on both the 4 and the 4 Pro. The way I'm looking at this is, especially with this cycle, in relation to what Yield said, is because there was so much supply hindrance at the launch of this that I'm sure there's a lot of people that didn't get one off the initial launch, and just at some point just said, I'm just going to wait for the Pro to come out. So I see this happening. I don't know if I really believe it to be $600 or $700, because if they come out with $600 or $700, I think it's dead in the water right off the bat. Especially with everybody's if you go back to the PS3 days where that launched, the most expensive one was $600, and Sony's famous statement of, oh, you'll just go get a second job to afford this. Now in today's economy, if you put this thing out at $600 or especially $700, I think sales are going to very much hurt. I would only get one realistically to update what I already have. I know Alex likes to joke that I have 5 PlayStation 5s, but I don't.
How many do you have?
2.
Well, how many PlayStation 4s did you have?
Overall or currently?
Overall, at peak.
5.
Okay, so that's why I made that joke. It's because that's not completely.
No, I know why you made the joke. I'm just saying, like, you always joke, and I never correct you, but in reality, I only have 2.
Well, now you can get a third.
I only have one for here and one for home, or one for home and one for work.
Well, now you can get a third one with your PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah, but now I gotta get 2 of them. I gotta get one for home and one for work.
if there's one thing you love to spend your money on, it's PlayStation. So
Yes. But yeah, I think it's going to get announced very soon. I think it's going to come out in November. I doubt it's going to come out in October. I don't see them announcing it in September and then releasing it a month later. I don't see that happening.
Leading into the holiday season, perfect time. I do have a question, since we haven't gone to Matt yet. I do have a specific question for Matt. Matt, I have a question for you, sir. So,
Okay.
do you think that this is going to be, if they do have a September show, which end of the year holiday time would make sense, do you think that they're going to use this as their big announcement because there isn't really a lot of games to talk about from Sony, and unless they want to surprise us with Ghost of Tsushima 2, and are you interested in buying a PlayStation 5 Pro?
Not for $600 or $700 if that's what it ends up being. But given my current use of the PlayStation, unless there is something groundbreaking that comes out, I'm not really in need of it. Like, I go back to the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro. I bought the PlayStation 4 Pro. I forget how long it was actually out for. Let's see. It came out on 2016. And when did Red Dead Redemption 2 come out?
I can look it up. You'll probably be faster.
Oh, I just don't want my clacking on the keyboards to affect anything. So it was 2018. I didn't. Thank you, Dex. I saw Dex. Dex got to it even before me. I appreciate that. So the sole reason I got the PlayStation 4 Pro was to play Red Dead Redemption 2 at a better frame rate than what the launch PlayStation 4 could. And to answer your earlier question, Alex, the Pro launched for $400, so the same price as the PlayStation 4 base when it launched.
Right.
The problem we have, and we're going to see this in a couple articles when we get to it, is the PS5 has had price increases. It's one of the first consoles in a long while that's done that. So for them to pack in as much technology as they can to make this perform better than what the base PS5 does, you're going to see a price greater than what the console is. You're not going to see, you may see a minor price cut in the PS5, at least in the US, but the fact that they just increased the price in other markets tells me that you're probably not going to get another price cut to get rid of those consoles to be able to sell the new one. It doesn't make financial sense. So in the end, no, I'm probably not going to get one, because as long as my PS5 can play PS5 games, Sony has not made good of the promise on the box.
I was about to ask you, do you think the 8K is going to be on this box?
I think that will probably not be a thing on the PS5 Pro box. So until they can make good on the promise of what they had on the base system, I don't trust them to make good on any promise they have on a Pro system. At least with the PS4 Pro, I was able to go through Red Dead Redemption 2 San Denis at, more than 30 frames per second. So that's always the goal, to upgrade, to get some sort of better performance out of a system. But I just don't see it here. I'm not sure what they're going to give you. Unless Sony gives you fidelity mode with 60 frames per second, there's no purpose to getting a new PlayStation.
All right. Well, since you guys brought it up already, it's literally our next topic on the agenda. Japan is being hit with another PlayStation 5 price increase. This is coming from Push Square and written by Liam Croft. Sony confirmed the cost of both PlayStation 5 models will increase once again in Japan. The disc drive version will be priced around the equivalent of $550, while the digital will be around $500. The systems originally launched for $345 and $275 respectively in Japan for the disc and digital versions. Also noted are the PlayStation 5 accessories are also receiving a price increase. So you talk about the price going up in different markets. So I just lump that in here to include into this conversation. Any further thoughts on this, gentlemen?
I
No.
think we can move on. Like it's like I just said, they're increasing the price in a market where it doesn't make sense that you would increase the price of a system if you're going to release another system that you want people to buy instead of the current one.
All right. The next topic we have, which I was going to skip, but apparently I'm getting pulled back for it.
Well, because originally we talked about putting it as a topic of the week, and now you're just going to blow by it.
I
was like, what the fuck?
I don't remember ever saying we were going to do this topic of the week, but that's
Matt,
fine.
do you remember us having that conversation?
If I got to the agenda before Tricky did, which Tricky, you got to it very early. I appreciate that. I would have put this one as the topic of the week, but I am good with the other topic of the week we have. But yeah, let's skip the other topic that we have instead of this one.
All right, yeah, we're gonna skip that topic. All right, coming from Shack News, which I've never actually heard of that website.
Really?
Yeah, I've never heard of Shack News before.
Really?
Really?
Okay. I'm surprised, but okay.
Maybe I have and just don't remember. Either way, written by Ozzy Magia. GameStop retro locations have started opening. You might remember the days when GameStop used to carry a selection of retro games, but this was gradually phased out. Well, GameStop appears to be bringing this back in the form of retro GameStops. While the GameStop website has been selling retro games, now a select number of stores will focus on this market. It should be noted only games from Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and Sega consoles will appear, so don't go looking for your Jaguar or Panasonic libraries. I wanted to skip this originally because I don't see how this is going to have an impact on GameStop at all. Like, I think this is just stupid. I'm sorry, I talked over you. You said something.
No. I said it won't save them. The only thing that'll save GameStop is changing their business practices. I mean,
It's too late. They missed that boat.
So my thought process behind it, while it's good that we're starting to see, I don't know how to word it, but the ability to buy older games. GameStop is a bad idea because they're all about profit. So that's bad. But it's nice to see this. Personally, I think that we also need to see something where you could get the consoles and your consoles fixed and stuff like that. But that's down the road. But we need to everyone's always talking about preserving, gaming history. This, in a small way, is a step in the right direction instead of having everything buried in the desert.
See, you're never going to get at these GameStop locations a place where you can get your old consoles fixed because there's going to be, just like almost every GameStop out there, there's going to be one person at any given time, maybe two people a day at a GameStop location, because they are going to go light on people because, one, the company's in trouble, so they're not going to have, hire more employees and have to pay benefits and whatnot to those employees. Now, to be one person at a time running those stores, and so basically just going to get stuff on the shelf, and that's it. So, yeah, I think you have a good idea there, but as far as like fixing old consoles, that's not going to happen.
Well, no, not from GameStop. No, I wouldn't want GameStop to do it. I'm just saying, like, as a general idea of how to help preserve gaming history, if you could offer that or do it yourself. I'm not smart enough. Otherwise, I would do something like that. I think that would have a market.
Sorry, Matt, this picture you sent, is that literally the retro section?
So that picture I shared in our Skype chat for the folks who are listening in, I found a thread on Reddit that claims to have taken a picture of their new retro GameStop, and it is a 5-shelf section colored red, green, and blue for the appropriate areas, showing the retro games that they have in their inventory, and it is pathetic. It is not good. So
I wouldn't consider that retro.
Didn't they at some point start destroying games because they weren't selling any, or they couldn't sell them anymore?
Well, they would throw them in the trash. That's where GameStop dumpster diving has become famous. The problem is, Yield, is they're considering anything from the PS3 era back as retro now. So take that as you will. It's and before we go on to Alex, because I know I kind of jumped in here, but the problem here is they're trying to cash in on the mom and pop shops. The problem why mom and pop shops are so good is because there's not too many of them. GameStop's going to flood an area and still charge exorbitant pricing for games, meanwhile giving you pennies for trade-ins, because that's their business model.
So if I'm Matt's picture here that he shared, and I don't want to attribute to Matt because he was posted somewhere else and he's just sharing it. And they're not opening new locations. What they're doing is they're just making room in their current locations for retro games, right?
Difficult to say because the article really didn't specify.
That was my confusion too, because
the picture shows the picture looks like it's an existing GameStop that they just took a 20-foot section.
Well, because it doesn't make sense for a company in financial trouble like GameStop to go close a bunch of stores and then go open up a bunch of stores. Well, you figure they would just combine it into their current business model.
Because if you read it says they're opening stores. GameStop retro locations have started opening. So that sounds to me like they're opening.
No, but what that can mean is they're being rebranded, or there's certain only locations that are selling these as kind of a tester, but they're already established locations. They're not being built from the ground up. They're opening and selling these, but not necessarily like they've just built them brand new or bought new locations.
Okay, but see, that's where my confusion is, because if they're just going to open up sections in their current stores, then why are they saying it's going to be in certain stores? Why not do that? In every store you have, start selling the retro games. The way that I read this initially was that they were opening up GameStop retro named locations where they were only going to sell retro games. That's the way I took it originally.
But nobody can do that, because even like the mom and pop shops around here, yes, they sell old games, but they also sell amiibos and like Magic cards and Pokemon cards and old controllers and tabletop games and plushies. So, and their stores even aren't that big. So, it's not just. I don't think any place can sell just retro games, like open up a location just to sell retro games. You're going to have other aspects to that. And we know GameStops have started selling, well, not started selling, but they also have big sections for amiibos and for Funko Pops and for action figures and t-shirts and stuff like that. So they've changed their business model somewhat, but there's no way they can just start opening buildings and just flood it with retro games. There's no way they can do that. So what's probably going to happen is we're going to see some locations that are already GameStops rebranded to have retro sections, but they're just going to be cut in there next to, like, say, the download cards or the Switch games or whatever, wherever they can fit them. I don't think there's any location they can open and just fill with retro games.
And why not do that in every store? Why only do that in select stores? Because you're going to piss off.
To see if it's a failure. Like, why do you roll out software in certain countries or certain locations for a game?
You don't think it's going to piss people off if I go to my GameStop and go, oh, well, this Sega Saturn game is not here, but it is at our store that's 15 miles away. You don't think that's going to piss people off too?
I don't think people are going to go to GameStop to buy retro games.
So do you remember a couple of years ago that they were trying to rebrand some GameStops as entertainment centers? They did like complete interior refreshes, complete with tables to produce like gaming sessions and things like that. I think. Yeah, so it was like a complete refresh. Nice laminate floors, bright lighting, as opposed to the normal dingy GameStop darkness. This, I feel, is the very same thing, where either locations that are not doing well from a new game market, they're going to rebrand stores as retro. Meanwhile, they're going to leverage some empty space in current stores and make that a retro section. But any way you cut it, I'm not going to GameStop to buy retro games, because here's the bigger problem. Something that we didn't discuss in the article. People have been selling fraudulent games back to GameStop, and the employees don't care. They just told to take the trade in. Meanwhile, there's counterfeit Pokemon games flooding the market, and GameStop's going to sell it and contribute to the problem even further. So you think the average GameStop employee is going to know what to look for on a counterfeit Pokemon card?
And Dex in the chat says people hardly go into these stores to buy games, let alone retro games. My whole thing is that I don't want. I'm not going to buy retro games from a GameStop mostly because of the point that Matt just put out, but the fact of, going back to my experience at that store in New York City that was selling IQ, what quality are these games going to be in? Are they going to work? Are they going to be scratched up to shit? Is GameStop going to try to gouge me for a game? Because they're going to be selling these games for a premium. They're not going to be selling them for fair market value. They're going to mark them up just a little bit. I don't see this being successful at all.
Good, Alex.
They're clawing. They're trying anything they can to try to make themselves more relevant. And look, I'll go back to the time when I walked into a GameStop. I tried to bail Kami New, and they handed me an open copy of the box. I'm like, nope, not doing that, because we all know that the people who work there can take home the games. They get first dibs on the games. That's something a benefit that people who work at GameStop have been able to do. We've all heard that they can take home the games. And so I'm not going to take a chance that open game was played before, and then you're going to ask me to buy it for new for $60 at the time. No, I'm sorry. And I looked at the guy, looked at him like crazy. He's like, no, I'm not buying that. You're going to hand me a factory sealed copy, or I'm walking the fuck out of here. And I think the only thing I bought one thing from GameStop since that time, unless it was a gift for somebody else. I bought a Banjo-Kazooie Amiibo from a GameStop because that's where I could find it. Otherwise, I haven't spent a single dime at GameStop. And no, I'm going to continue to go to my mom and pop shops because we have multiple local independent vendors of, old video games. And then we have like arcade, the Louisville Arcade Expo here. We have vendors. You had PopCon recently where they have old games. So no, I've got plenty of avenues to buy old games. I'd rather go to eBay to buy old games than go to a GameStop.
Dex in the chat says, I agree with Alex, sealed unless stated pre-owned. I agree. I think, the bigger problem, Alex, is that they're selling new games that are unsealed because they intentionally open up one box to put it on the shelf, put the cover on the shelf, and it's still a new game. But I feel like GameStop should be taking that loss and saying, once we've opened this, we have to sell it pre-owned. So that's just my personal thing. Yield, any final comments you want with this?
No.
All right, Matt, any final comments? Alex, same question. Any final comments?
Nope.
No, if I see this in any of the local GameStops, I'm actually walking to a GameStop to see if they add any sections. But if I do catch any, I'll send a picture in. But I can't see how them jumping in the market this late and with how much people dislike GameStop. You go into a GameStop and like, there's just never anyone there. Like they've missed the boat so many times, and it's just another thing they're late to the party on.
All right, so since we're going to the community, I have to call out Dex real quick before I play the intro music and say Dex is part of the problem because he bought Concord.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
But is he part of the problem? Because if he's enjoying it, that's good.
I didn't ask him if he was enjoying it. He just told me the other day he's buying Concord. So question. Rick says, are you recording early? No, we didn't record early. And then you'll decide to be a little smart ass and say that was a question.
Well, it was a question because you said we were at 2:00. You said recording soon. That's a legit question. Are we recording early?
I didn't say recording early. I said recording soon.
Or recording soon. Well, most people would take that as like you're going to record in the next 15, 30 minutes.
All right, fair enough.
Just saying. And then you asked if he had a question. That was his question.
George Smith says, y'all should make your question post right after an episode, give more people time to see it. George, I'm with you on that, but the point of us posting this on the day of is to get questions that we can answer on the show, like we're doing right now. Dex just called me a prick in the chat.
Spot on.
Sorry, Dex. I gotta call it as I see it. Now I might need my my Thomas interpreter on this. I haven't looked over these questions yet, so I hope my interpreter is on standby. His first question: if Def Jam 1-2 were remastered and had online capability with this refresh, revive the IP.
Never played Def Jam.
I've heard so many people on Def Jam's dick as far as being a good game, and from a fighting perspective game, little to no interest.
Alex, would you like to see a Def Jam 1 and 2 remaster? I think we lost the Alex. I did hear a door close. All right, he'll have to fix this and edit. Next question coming from Thomas. TV series that you remember were good but actually suck now. So TV series that you remembered was good, but actually if you watch it now, it sucks. Go to Matt first.
Do you all remember Sequest
Vaguely.
with the talking dolphin?
No.
Yeah, no, don't.
Don't.
Yield, do you have an answer?
But you know, as much as I love it, Dukes of Hazzard does not hold up as well now as it did then.
Wow.
You could probably say the same for Knight Rider.
I don't know. Knight Rider still has a kind of thing about it.
I don't know. I've outgrown Hasselhoff. When I see him, I'm just like, oh god, they're
Is
so
that
many.
possible?
Don't have
Yes.
to off.
Yes, that is possible.
So we actually had a thing at work at my last job before, we all had to start getting politically correct. We would Hasselhoff each other because from a cybersecurity perspective, the second you leave your computer, you're supposed to be locking your screen. Well, some people would just walk away and not do it. We'd famously go into Google and change their background desktop image to David Hasselhoff. Nothing crude, nothing Baywatch or shirtless eating a sandwich. Just, some glamour shots of Hasselhoff. So, if you got Hasselhoff, it's because you didn't do the right thing from cybersecurity.
Alex, you back?
Well, the cat just threw up again. Hold on. I'm muting myself. Y'all take care of this. I'll be
All
back.
right. Moving on to our next. Oh, I didn't answer. I can't think of anything that, because I don't go back and watch a lot of old shows. There's a lot of shows I want to go back and watch because I know they're good, like Golden Girls.
Deadpool would be proud.
Deadpool would be proud. And I almost want to say Friends.
Oh,
They're
Friends is good. Friends.
I just don't care for it now like I did back then.
My sisters love Friends, and I keep sending them the meme, and it's a different person every time. Where it's like, you got to watch Friends, it's so good, and it's like the caption is me watching Friends, and it's just some like one of an actor from a movie just staring at the screen in disbelief. One screen it's Imhotep from The Mummy, another one it's Bruce Willis just stare. I forget what movie it is, but yeah, no, I stopped watching Friends once I got rid of the monkey.
Yeah, funny story. They said that everybody hated that monkey on set.
Yeah, because it's probably throwing poo at everybody.
See, I don't go back and watch a lot of old shows, but I mean, I want to go back and watch like Columbo, Matlock, Perry Mason. I'm big into those shows. I do want to go back and watch The Commish. You guys remember The Commish?
I do, vaguely. I didn't watch it much, but I do remember it.
That was Mike Nicholas' first TV show.
Didn't care for Murder, She Wrote either.
Really?
No.
Trying to think of anything was bad. No. I just went back and watched the whole series of Prison Break. That was pretty good. Apparently, Prison Break is coming back, apparently. So is White Collar, and so is Suits.
Now, White Collar was enjoyable until they got rid of the whole Nazi gold thing, and then it kind of went downhill.
See, I didn't watch all those adult dramas as a kid. Like Jag and CSI and I was still watching my cartoons and shit. And
I enjoyed Jag.
I'll tell you.
CSI, I enjoyed the first few seasons.
Hold on. Dex says Jake and the Fat Man.
That was a show.
I vaguely remember Jake and the Fat Man.
What about Airwolf?
I've seen some clips pop up on Facebook Reels of Airwolf, and I loved it when I was a kid. But if I'd have to sit down and rewatch it. But I doubt, like as a whole, it really holds up today.
So I've got in the habit. Hasbro Pulse has a channel that shows all the old Transformers episodes, and
cartoons.
G1 through, G1. So seasons 1 through 4, and oh man, the shit they got away with back in the 80s. Here's the funny thing. Number one, there's an episode where they use a beam saber, literally same effect as a lightsaber. It was like, hopefully Lucas Arts and Disney don't get a hold of this now. But one episode, the Transformer named Cliff Jumper failed to jump a cliff. Like he jumps up and misses. I'm like, yeah, one job, dude. The animation horrible, the lines not great. It's like, okay, yeah, no, they totally sold us on a bill of goods that they didn't deliver. So it's more watching it in nostalgic. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. There's an episode where a woman falls in love with a Transformer. Another episode where Transformers are changed from like Atlantean sea people into Transformers. I'm like, what the fuck is all this? I don't remember any of this shit.
I have my answer because I just looked up 80s shows, and I know this is gonna be a little controversial. This is gonna be a hot button thing for me to say. The Wonder Years.
The what?
The Wonder
Years. Yeah.
I didn't care for it when it was out.
Just quick, because we're trying to kill some time to give Alex a chance to get back. Some of the 80 shows, Airwolf.
Now, as much as I love Voltron, if you go back and try to watch Voltron,
yeah, but I'll also say the Netflix Voltron, to me, was an awesome remake.
Growing Pains, Miami Vice, Saved by the Bell, Married with Children, Magnum P.I., Hill Street Blues, Family Ties, Doogie Howser, Full House, Moonlighting, MacGyver, Baywatch, Matlock, L.A. Law, Who's the Boss,
Tony Danza,
21 Jump Street, Roseanne, The A-Team.
Hey, the A-Team still kind of holds up.
Perfect Strangers, Family Matters.
Perfect Strangers. That show was funny. You couldn't do that today.
Night Court. Definitely can't do that show nowadays.
What, Night Court?
Yeah.
There is a new Night Court.
Yeah, but you can't do the Night Court back then.
You can't do the funny Night Court.
Murder, She Wrote, and Cheers and Silver Spoons.
Yeah, I didn't care for Silver Spoons.
And there's one I'm leaving off because I don't. You know what? I don't care. The Cosby Show.
The calls.
But there's a lot of people that don't want to bring up the Cosby Show because of recent developments. So.
Yes, because of Bill Cosby.
Yeah, I didn't think it needed to be pointed out, but yes. Anyway, Alex, is there an old time TV show that was good as a kid, but you think sucks now?
You know, when I originally bought the Ninja Turtles cartoon, when they came out with a collection, the old 90s cartoon, honestly, and look, the other day I just spent 113.
Don't you say it.
I just spent a good $117 on Ninja Turtles action figures the other day, so I'm a Turtles fan. I'm sorry, the original cartoon just doesn't hold up. It's just, as an adult, it's just not intelligently written, and
That's
it's just like what?
When you stepped away, I called out the Transformers.
I mean, look, I love the character still, but just the writing, just kind of like, as a kid you don't notice it, but as an adult, it's like, oh god. But yeah, that would be mine. That was just like just someone threw cold water on me. I was like, oh man, I love Ninja Turtles, and this is what it is. Okay.
Next in the chat says, "Oh, he said it." I just going back real quick. If Def Jam 1 or 2 was remastered and had online capability, would that revive the IP, and would you play it?
Yes. I mean, I stopped playing those games because I earned everything you could at them, and there were no. This is back in the day when there were no trophies, so I just moved on, and I just eventually got rid of all my PS2 games. Well, most of them, but yeah, those were some of the games I got rid of, and I just didn't have a reason to play anymore. But if they came back out with trophies, then yeah, I would absolutely love to play the Def Jam games.
All right. Thomas's last question. And I do need my Thomas interpreter here. He says 3 of the best rappers of all time: Dylan, Dylan, and Dylan.
Yeah, I got no clue on this one.
Okay.
No, it's from a skit by Dave Chappelle, Dylon, Dylon, and Dylon. Making the Band. Dave Chappelle's skit on Making the Band. That's what it's from.
Okay. I never watched the spell show, so.
I spit hot fire.
All right. So 3 of the best rappers of all time. Yield.
I don't listen to rap.
Okay. Alex.
I mean, I've got my own personal like songs that I enjoy, but I don't know that I'm really that much of an aficionado on rap to really, throw a list together. I mean, how do you not have two, like if you grew up in the 90s, how are your 2 of your picks not Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac? And I know those are just general answers, but then you've got like Dr. Dre and you've got Eminem. I mean, there's all different ways you can make a list. Is it based on commercial success? Is it based on actual skill? I don't know. Someone, is based on skill. Someone would probably say Nas, but for me personally, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm one to make a list for this because I grew up listening to more hardcore rock and less rap. So even though I do have some rap songs I really enjoy, it's just hard for me to make a list like that. But I mean, I'll just throw out general names again, like Tupac and Biggie, and then Eminem maybe would be the third.
All right. Matt.
Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. MC Chris. And I can't think of a third one.
Don't forget MCP Pants.
Well, isn't that covered by MC Chris?
I gotta tell you, I was half expecting Neil to give a funny answer and just say Vanilla Ice.
No, come on. I have a little bit more respect for the art than that.
I'm gonna say Eminem, Biggie, and Snoop Dogg. All right. That is all of the questions, I believe. Yes, that is all of our questions. Let's move on to our topic of the week. This is coming from Game 8 and written by Charlene Aguila. Steam, GOG, that what stands for Good Old Games?
It used to be
GOG.
Good Old Games, but it is literally just GOG now.
Okay. And others must allow reselling of downloaded games in the EU. Court of Justice of the European Union recently ruled that consumers can illegally resell previously purchased and downloaded games and software despite end-user license agreements. This case arose from a legal battle between software reseller Usoft and developer Oracle in German courts. Basically, what the ruling boils down to is that when the developer sells a license for a customer to use for an unlimited period, the distribution right is exhausted, allowing for resale. This decision applied for EU members covers games acquired through platforms like Steam, GOG, Epic, and others. Though this ruling only applies to the initial original purchaser, a resale might go something like this. The initial buyer provides a code for the game's license, forfeiting access upon sale. However, due to the complexity of the market, it is unknown how the transactions would be set to take place. So if I'm reading this right, Matt, and you're the one that read the article and did this, if I buy a game on Steam, I'm allowed to resell it to you. Are you then allowed to resell it after that?
The way it's reading, no. This is only applicable to the first purchaser of that license. So if you were to sell it to me, that would then mean end of life for that piece of software where I couldn't do anything with it from there.
Okay. So that was my initial question. But Yield, I'll go to you first because I know you are big on physical. You're fighting digital future all the way through. If this does become a thing in the United States, is this more apt to allow you to go digital in the future?
No.
Just because your main point is you just want the physical box on your shelf.
Well, who's to say that when you buy it digitally, used digitally, that you're actually going to get access to it?
Well, that's what this is ensuring, is from my understanding.
Yeah, but who's going to police it? I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it opens the door for a lot of people to be like, they would have to go through a bunch of things for me to feel like you're not getting hosed. You're not going to pay $10 for a game off of somebody, or that you think is somebody, and then you get nothing. So unless like Sony, because I don't buy from Steam, so unless Sony were to like have a used store that they are patrolling, I have no use for it.
Yeah, but if you buy a Steam game and then you are trying to resell that game, Steam then has to have some way for you to sell that game to another person because it's run through their service. So then that requires Steam to do more work, or Steam and Valve to do more work on a purchase they're not going to get money for. So, I mean, and then how do you say that once the original purchase, once the original seller, which would be Steam or Valve, once they have sold to you, they are giving up they have no right to tell you then can't sell it. Why doesn't that apply to more purchases after the first one, other than that's the courts basically saying we don't want to kill off the video game market, because that's exactly what it would do. I don't understand how you can say it only applies to one other person besides the original seller.
Matt, what's yours?
Oh, God. So this article was a very long article, very difficult to summarize, but it all has to do with, I believe, what they called. Let me look it up. Somebody vamp for a minute.
You're bringing up a good point, Alex. You're bringing up a good points too. Is the fact that how are they going to police this? Because my initial thought, and this is just like as I'm reading this now, I'm thinking this has got to go through some kind of system like how Ticketmaster, if you want to, you want to sell your tickets, you got to go back to Ticketmaster and say, hey, these tickets are for sale, and then Ticketmaster facilitates the resell, but then they take back a portion of the sale from both the seller and the buyer. I would think that Steam or Valve or whoever would have to do something like this, because how are you going to transfer the license key over? Because Steam, just for example, has to be able to give you access to the thing. And if I sell you the code, how does Steam know that I sold you the code? I think it would have to go back through the original seller. And at that point, that's where Steam or Valve or whatnot would make the money back on the resale. That's just my initial thought.
Yeah, but basically going through that way, Tricky, is you're saying that Steam would make their money off, but then the user who is selling their access to the game, the rights to the license, then wouldn't get the money.
No, they would.
So someone buys the game from Steam and then decides they want to resell it, and then what you're saying is they have to go through Steam and Valve, because Valve then has to ensure that license goes to the other person they're selling it to. So does then in that world, is the person buying the game now pay double for Valve and for the original? Hold on, I'm covering bases here.
Okay.
And to the original purchaser, or they just pay the original purchaser, or they just play Valve, or they pay half and half to both parties.
I'm sorry, Matt. I know you're getting ready to say something. What I'm saying is, okay, I bought Star Wars Outlaws for $70. I want to sell it to you, Alex, for $60. What I'm seeing is that you will pay $60 for the game, but I'm only going to get like $55 because Steam is going to take $5 off the resale.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Steam and Valve want to deal with that because they're getting $5 for a game. Somebody else is buying their game essentially for $5 access.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, Steam's not going to make any money off the resale. This is their way of making money off the resale. So they've already made their initial $70 off the sale of the game. Now, because I'm selling it to you, they're making an extra $5 off that original $70 sale.
Honestly, then if I'm Steam, I'm taking my services out of the EU. Because if you think about the initial purchase and how many people buy games, think about how many initial purchases can sell that game, and then how many double the people can buy it for, money that Valve is not going to get, essentially killing half of the sales for a game on Steam. So if I'm Valve or Steam, I'm taking my business out of the EU.
All right, man, I cut you off a couple times. I'm sorry.
It's all right. So I needed time to get my thoughts together anyways. So first and foremost, it's surrounding what the EU calls the principle of distribution rights, and that the developer, the copyright holder, sells a copy, grants the customer the right to use for an unlimited period of time. That's kind of the catch. An unlimited period of time. The distribution right is exhausted. It's kind of like when somebody sells you a book. The reason I can go back to a bookstore and sell the book, because I was the original owner. Now, that being a physical copy, that can be resold. So what this is saying is that if somebody is selling you a piece of software for an unlimited period of time, and I'm not talking about a subscription-based service like McAfee or some other antivirus, you buy a game, the expectation is you get to use this for an unspecified, unlimited amount of time. That then gives that first purchaser the right to sell it to somebody else. Now, what this entire article doesn't cover is any direction on how that's supposed to be done. Getting back to the conversation you all were having, because the platform that does the selling now, you're right, Alex, there's no money in this for Valve, but there's still money in it for them in selling in that market. You leave the EU, that's a pretty hefty decision, not to be made lightly. But to Tricky's point, and what I'm trying to get to, at no point does this article say that the platform holder can't charge for a service to do that transfer. So yeah, if it's going to take effort for Valve or Epic to develop something like that to their system, then yeah, I could absolutely see them charging a fee for it to appease that law and get a little bit of something on top of that. What they cannot do is they can't forbid the user from selling it, but they can restrict the user and say, you're only going to be able to sell it using our system. If you don't agree to that, then maybe that's something else that'll be taken up by the courts. But right now, there's no clause here restricting the developer, the platform, from being able to restrict the way it's done. So to your point, Alex, this way they can control that, and the person just can't get their key and sell it out to somebody else, because the key provision about this is that by the initial purchaser selling that code, they agree to give up their rights to access that software, and that has to be performed in a specific way. So Steam has to remove it from your library. There's ways you can go in Steam right now and say, remove this from my library, and they literally revoke that key. And they've done it for games that were no longer able to be I don't want to say sold, because there's been plenty of games that have been deplatformed, but there's been games that have been removed completely, and they say this has to be removed from your library. Mostly free-to-play stuff, nothing you really purchased, but that mechanism is already there. So really the biggest mechanism that these developers or platform holders are going to have to develop is a way to transfer that key and marking that key in a way to ensure that it can't be traded or sold again. And that's very important, because this ruling states that the second purchaser has no right to further transfer that software. So that key, because every software is sold with a key, has to be marked in a way in a system that gets flagged if it's trying to be offered for another sale. So, it really just depends on the way everything is programmed. I don't envy the platform holders on what they have to do to abide by this, but this is groundbreaking. This is definitely new territory in the world of digital distribution.
Well, let me ask, because if couldn't someone say if Valve has set up a fee to make sure these transfers happen, isn't that kind of a hindrance to selling? Couldn't someone sue them in these courts again and say this is a hindrance to our selling?
Possible, but Valve can turn around and say, we were told we cannot restrict people. However, this is an effect on our business, and we can't do this without implementing some sort of fee to provide the service. Now, if the courts come back later, I'll let you go to the second tricky. If the courts come back later and say no restrictions mean no restrictions, meaning monetary, physical, digital, programmable, you must make this available for the user to sell or trade on any platform they wish. But right now, that's not how the ruling is being written.
And I would think that Valve at least has a case in saying you've changed the law to saying that we have to allow the resale of this. There's going to be time and money spent to develop the systems for this. We need to be able to recoup those funds in some manner. I mean, it's not as simply as just flipping a switch and saying, okay, you can just resell the game. Valve or, Epic or whoever are going to have to develop systems to allow this to happen.
Yeah, and the courts may just say, not our problem, deal with it.
Yeah. Now, here is a wild question, Dayton, going back to a previous topic that, conversation piece I just want to do. Do you think it's possible that a company a la GameStop gets involved in all this and it says, we'll develop the system to allow you to sell us your games and then we handle the resale?
Nope, because that automatically is forbidden by the ruling in that the purchaser of said game cannot resell it further.
Okay. I
that's
see your point, but I think the GameStop could also restrict that as well.
Well, so you got to think of the big reasoning behind that. That's just to make sure that somebody can't keep passing keys back and forth and say, "Yep, I'm selling it to my friend for $0.01," and they just keep passing it back and forth when they want to trade games like that. That's preventing the abuse of that aspect.
In all honesty, I think this ruling opens up Pandora's box that people who made the ruling don't understand necessarily the logistics of the video game, like the market.
Well, and that's unfortunately what happens when governments get involved in things, when companies and developers and publishers go so hard to the board and now make things not consumer friendly. Unfortunately, people bring it to the courts and leave it up to the courts to rule.
Now, did the article say anything about who brought this to the Court of Justice? I mean, was this something the Court of Justice just took on themselves, or was it was involved in this?
It was the lawsuit of Ubisoft versus Oracle. Ubisoft was saying they want to be able to resell software, and obviously Oracle took issues with that. And again, this is all in German courts, and that's where this ruling came down. And with it being the German courts and the European Union, that now is binding for that entire region.
Is there did the article say when this has to go into effect, or is this immediately? Or
I didn't see any timeline. I imagine with most rulings that have this level of effect, there's going to be a grace period that by this date, the platform holders must be compliant.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably going to be appeals upon appeals for this.
Yeah.
All right, here. I got one last question for you guys, and then we're all going to get out of here because I'm not editing a 2-hour show. So, same question for all of you. If you're these digital purveyors, do you pull out of the EU market?
No. You'd lose too much money coming out of the market just to avoid having to do this.
Yeah, but you're also going to lose sales with, again, think about if 1 million people buy a game, they can then sell that game to another 1 million people, and you're not going to get that money unless there's a transfer fee.
Well, yeah, and I don't be surprised if that is the case.
I fully believe there will be a transfer fee. There's no way that a company like Valve or Epic or something like that are not going to put systems in place to say we have to allow you to resell your game, but there's nothing saying we can't make a profit off of it as well.
And Yield, same question to you. Would you pull out the EU market?
No, because there's just a lot of money to be had. They'll spend more money, kind of cut their nose off to spite their face. They'll spend more money in sending it to appeals court than anything. But it would. Why that seems like the knee-jerk thing. I'm gonna say knee-jerk, but that's probably not the right term to use. To do, they'll try to fight it, and my guess would be, if anything, try to work a way so that way they get a piece of the pie. Whether, like I was saying, resell it through their connections to make sure that it's safe, and they get a little piece of the action out of it. I don't know.
All right. Oh, Tricky, you wanna hit up some shout outs and we'll get out of here?
Sure. Let's start with Yield shout outs.
Shout out to Tricky, Matt, and Alex for recording this evening. Shout out to everybody who was hanging out in chat. Shout out to George for his questions. Shout out to Nitro and Riley for some really good Rocket League and some really. We'd have gotten kicked off of Twitch if we'd have been streaming. It was hilarious. Shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom. Thank you for everything that you guys do. Shout out to Gareth for his trophy community challenge that he is running. And shout out to a 5-day weekend. They're amazing. That's it.
All right, Alex.
All right, we do have a slight correction there. Yield to thank George for the questions, but trigger Myers that it was Thomas who had asked those questions. So thank you, Thomas, for those questions.
Sorry, Thomas, my bad. Wrong person.
Thomas, part of the community, the fuel
George-
to the fire.
I'm sorry, George was the one that said we should ask the questions after the show.
Thomas and George, of course, both part of the community, the fuel to the fire. There's Trophy Horrors. Thank you all for continuing to support us. It's what pushes us forward, drives us to more. Because we couldn't do this without you all. Shout out to my co-host Yield, Tricky, and to Matt. And last but not least, give a shout out to Ashley. I love you, hun. And yeah, that's gonna be the end of my shout outs.
Matt.
Shout out to you, gents. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Shout out to Dan Tucker, who I saw lurking in chat, Dex, who was in chat, Joe Priestley, who was in chat earlier. Shout out to Will for making the thumbnails to our show, and shout out to my wife, V.
And I want to give a shout out to the goddess. Shout out to Sweet Mama D, who's over there playing Roblox, even though she's not supposed to be. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. And Torpedo Tross, who I haven't heard from in a couple weeks. Tross, I know you're going to hear this.
I have seen him online, so I know he's around.
Oh, he's around. But every time I send him a text message or a PlayStation message, I never get a response. And then randomly, as we started recording tonight, he goes, "Hey, how you liking Outlaws?" But,
Maybe he's busy. He does have kids.
no. He's been playing NCAA football. And
It is football season again.
It is football season.
He's a big Bulldogs fan. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, they did beat Clemson this past weekend, so continuing their strength, their success in the football realm.
I could care less about college football. The only team I follow in any sort of capacity is just Michigan, but that's just to annoy Yield and Homer. I think college football is stupid.
It doesn't annoy me. I just ignore you because I know you don't follow college football. So
It's the same thing that I do when you talk about hockey. I just ignore you.
Rico, we have a mutual agreement.
Other than that, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Z. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippine.